Luca, all right. How are you,
Here we
man?
go. Very well. How about you?
I'm well. Perfect. Excellent. So thank you very much, Luca, for doing this. I greatly appreciate it. As I said to you before, I find your story very, very interesting and very motivating. And
Thank
so
you.
I think that there's a lot that people can learn from this, from many respects. And so I wanted to talk to you about it and see what's going on. So I
With
sort of
pleasure.
we're going to cover a bunch of topics. We got a whole bunch of questions here. So what I'm going to do first is I'll give you 30 seconds and just tell people who you are, and then we're going to jump right into it, man.
My pleasure. So, guys, my name is Louka Kurcer. I'm also known as the Kettlebell Guy. I'm an expert at kettlebell training, and I'm also an artist. I am an author. I like to do public speaking as well, but I'm more of a teacher. I love teaching knowledge to people. My passion is strength training, and you guys will find out my story that I spent some time uh, behind bars, incarcerated, and it's where my journey started. So look forward to sharing it with you guys.
All right, perfect. So that's a awesome little introduction there. So I'm going to start with the hard questions first, Luca. Okay,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
so that we can
Let's do
get this, so everybody can know right away what the deal is. So tell me, why were
it.
you why were you incarcerated in prison, my friend?
Well, I don't tell many people unless they ask. So when I was between the ages of 15 to 19, I was dealing drugs. And I didn't do anything violent. I'm not a violent person of nature, unless you get me angry. But uh, I got into some bad deals, and things started spiraling out of control. I got into, transporting large quantities of marijuana and hashish, and I was dealing with bad people at the time. And what happened was I got paid to do a ride, to do a transport, and basically it went sour. I got pulled over. Long story short, I got caught and ended up in jail in Southern Virginia, actually. So it was a kind of a wake up call, and my life kind of ended at that point. Or else I thought it was. I thought my life ended. So that's pretty much what happened in a nutshell. I mean, I could give you the grimes and bits and bolts and the details, but that's what happened.
All right, there we go. So that jail that you were in Virginia, were you
Yeah.
incarcerated in that facility for the whole time that you were in that you were behind bars?
No, actually. So a lot of people don't understand the difference between jail and prison.
Prison.
So when you get arrested, you cops bring you to jail, and this is a holding facility until they bring you to trial. Now, I didn't get a bond. I couldn't get out on bond, unfortunately. So I ended up spending actually 15 months in jail, which jail is much harsher than prison, believe it or not, because they treat anyone as criminal. So it doesn't matter whether you're violent, you murdered someone, or you have a drug charge or theft or drunk driving or whatever. They put you in the same place. They put you in a cell, and you might end up bunking beds with someone else you don't want to be with, right? Luckily, I was with someone actually. He turned out to be my best friend at the time. His name is Martin, and African American guy actually kind of saved me. Kind of brought me in. He was actually in jail before, and he said, "This is my second time. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine." And he brought me in as a cellmate. So I spent 15 months in jail. Then by the time I got trialed, I was sentenced to 8 years in prison, but actually did 7 on a good time. And they brought me to a transition prison, actually, where then they classify you. So I spent 3 months there, and then I ended up in the Southwest Virginia, actually, in Bland Correctional Center for 5 years. And it was a really good prison, actually. It was the best prison in the state. So I was really lucky to be there. Look, I'll be honest. I didn't want to end up in a prison full of black gang members. So I was lucky because I ended up in a prison with mostly whites. So there's a lot
At
of
what
gangs
level?
in prison.
What level of
I was at level one,
okay,
level one, very low level because it was my first
offense?
yeah, first offense exactly.
Mhm.
And so, they gave me not a slap on the wrist, of course, but they send you to a very low level accordingly. So I was really lucky. Think of it as a college campus with barbed wire fences, kind of like that. So to put it in nice words, and a lot of actually a lot of they watch you. So there's movement that they program the movement. Every hour it's scheduled. So they open the gates. You can go somewhere. You can go to the library, or you go to the cafeteria, or you can go to the gym, and they lock the gates behind you, the fences behind you. So there's cameras and stuff. And by the time I got there, it was fine. I'll be honest. The first day I got there, I cried because I was so happy to have that amount of freedom in prison, because I was in an open area. We were in the countryside. I could see the hills. I could see the mountains. There was fresh air. I was out in the open. When I was in jail, I was literally locked down in a building. I couldn't see the sunlight for 15 months. By the time I got out, I was pale as a ghost. I
Mhm.
didn't have any sunlight at all. And the little yard that they had, they call it a rec yard. It was basically you're put in like a square. It's like a half a basketball court with brick walls, like 50-foot walls, and you could see a metal fence at the top. So you could get some air, of course, but you barely see the sunlight. So
Mhm.
that's where I was for 15 months. That was jail, and then by the time I got to prison, I was happy camper. I was really happy to be there. It's
That's
weird. It's
it's
weird to say, but
no,
yeah.
exactly. So, and you said you served there for 5 years in total?
Yeah, I served at the prison camp for 5 years, but in total I served a time of 7
Okay,
in total.
there you go. So, like every time I hear that, I'm like, holy shit, man! Like
Yeah,
that's that is that is a rude awakening to manhood, to adulthood. So, um,
you're right.
I am, you know, I think that I'm privileged to know you, but I think that it's even more amazing that I know what you've been through and then what you've accomplished since you've been out. So I think that that's even more
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you.
So so
Appreciate that.
so not a problem, man. So tell me now, were you active in fitness and strength training prior to your incarceration?
Nah, nah. Didn't have time for that. I
Okay,
was
all
all
right.
about making money and dealing drugs back then, and you kind of get entangled in that lifestyle of making money, using drugs, partying and stuff. And fitness was like not on my list, right? It
Mhm.
wasn't. It wasn't on my menu. So
Okay.
been to the gym a couple of times. I was, as a teenager, I went to the Y a few times, but it wasn't nothing serious
Mhm,
until I
mhm,
got to jail and until I got to prison, and then it became my lifestyle.
mhm.
So it became something that helped me survive and helped me did my time, spend my time productively.
Yes.
And I think you know, like you said, turned me into a man for sure. But it was like there was a code there, as unwritten rules, so to speak, that people that trained, they got a certain respect from others. So you weren't messed around with or likely to be messed around with. So people that saw you at the gym, saw you train, they give you that respect. you know
Mhm.
so not all the prisoners choose to train. Some just kind of give up. They lay it down. They're in their bunk beds watching TV all day, and I couldn't give up. I had a lot of time at the beginning, but I'm like, it's like you don't see the end of the road yet, but I'm
Mhm.
like, I gotta spend this time, do what I have to do, and make my friends and my parents proud. Make my
Yes.
family proud when I got out. I wanted them to be like, oh my God, this is what he transformed himself. So
Yes.
that's what I wanted to do.
Perfect. So, at what point during your incarceration did you start to train? Was it right away, or was there, sort of period where you kind of like,
Yeah,
oh my God, like I got to learn the ropes here?
right. So, like I mentioned at the beginning, my cellmate Martin, he challenged me to start doing push-ups, and it was kind of like the one and only thing we did for a while. You know, we pulled out a deck of cards, and we started throwing the cards and do however many push-ups that came out, right? And we did that throughout the day. We did it every day, and I overtrained to the point where my shoulders were frozen, and I was in such pain that I couldn't even lift my arms anymore. And I'm sure I didn't do them correctly. I'm sure I was screwing them up, and I did my best. But I learned my lesson. I just kind of toned it down a little bit and didn't do as many, but I still kept my fitness up. So we're doing the regular stuff like push-ups, sit-ups. We'd get creative. We'd use our bed sheets. We'd tie it up around the beds, the metal beds, and we'd do like curls. We'd fill up our totes, our plastic totes filled with water or like our food and stuff, and we'd like do curls and we'd lift them and stuff like that, and we'd do squats. So we did a little bit in jail, but nothing serious. Not until I got to prison where I really got deep into the training, because they actually had a gym there, and they had a rec yard with a weight pit, and they had a gym inside with a weight room, and all the weights there, they were welded together. So they didn't want anyone stealing the plates or throwing the plates or anything like that, because God knows, like people steal stuff there, and they didn't want anyone to steal the weight, so they welded them all together. And so that's where I had my first taste of training. Met a guy there when I was in prison. By the way, it was like a huge dormitory when I was in prison with over 30 men. And met this guy named Dennis, full of tattoos. And he looked like a biker, like a motorcycle, like Hell's Angels or something like that. But actually, when I got to know him, he ended up being the softest, nicest guy. And he got me into training, and he was going to the gym, and he's like, why don't you jump into our team, our crew? And we had like a little crew going, and we'd run to the gym. When they called rec, we'd had to run there. You made sure you had to run there as fast as possible to get your weights. Otherwise, you wouldn't get them. There's no chance. So you had to literally sprint to the gym in order to get the weights you wanted. And as soon as you got your weights, other inmates would ask you, hey, can I get that next? Can I get this next? Can I get this next? So you'd have to like mentally keep a list of who you'd have to trade weights with after you finish your set. This guy wanted next on your 145-pound barbell. And you would ask the other man, hey, can I get your squat rack? Or hey, can I get those dumbbells next? And they would like cycle, the weight room would be packed, and all the equipment at any point in time would be all in use the whole hour that it would be open. So everyone would be using weights, sharing weights, and you better keep track, otherwise there would be a problem. You better make sure to give that guy his weights after you told him that you would give it to him, and vice versa. They would give you their weights if they told you. So everyone would keep their word, would be really respectful. And what I liked about prison is that people would be respectful, and if you don't give that respect, things can go wrong. You could get beat up. You would get your lesson learned. So that's the thing about prison, is that those unwritten rules about keeping your word, having respect, and being loyal to your crew or your road dogs. That's what was going on over there. So
it's quite funny that we think about prison as this place where we keep the hardest people of society, the people who don't follow the rules, who are the rebels, and just the people who are difficult to get along with. But yet, in prison, there's a system of rules, there's a system of respect, and it may not be written down, but everybody follows that and they understand that. And if you don't, there's a problem, right?
Yep.
And it's funny how much prison, even on the inside, it mimics outside society, right? And it's just that, I guess, sometimes the discipline that is associated with breaking those rules is much more tangible in prison,
Yes.
right? Much
Yeah.
much more tangible and much more immediate.
Yeah. You get your karma. You get a you feel karma right away.
It comes quick. So
Comes
let me,
quick.
okay, so let me ask you this. Um, what, okay, so this is not about training per se, but just about your time in prison. So what did your time in prison teach you about yourself?
Ah, that is that you know they taught me everything, and there's still so much to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And it taught me that that time I'll never get back. And I was lucky to have it because we don't get it now. We have a job, we have family, we have responsibilities, and there it was all taken away. You don't have that. You don't have to keep a job, or you don't have so many responsibilities. So what do you do with your time? Some choose to waste it. Some
Mm-hmm.
choose to spend it productively on certain things. I wanted to learn. I had a thirst for knowledge. So not only did I study, like philosophy, religion, uh, you know, literature and stuff like that, but I just wanted to make myself a better person. I didn't want to come out the same way I came in.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to myself, what can I do now to make my time productive here and not let it go to waste,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I learned about Buddhism. I was into Christianity a lot back then, and for some reason, I didn't connect so much with Christianity as I did with Buddhism. The whole idea of reincarnation and karma, it kind of like, I don't know, it resonated a lot with me. So I started studying that and meditation. While I was in jail, actually, I was a lot in the AA groups or NA groups, so Alcoholic Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, and I was in a therapeutic community for over 5 months, and that's where I started studying Buddhism, and
Mm-hmm.
more Tibetan Buddhism than Zen Buddhism, and it was interesting because it got me kind of to retrospect and to look inside and to observe my mind.
Mm-hmm.
What happens inside? What happens at like your thought level? Really, you realize that it's nonstop, and it just kind of doesn't go away unless you can't ignore it. But it's also about letting it go, letting thoughts go, and not being attached to things, not being attached to your thoughts, not being attached to objects, outcomes, situations, anything tangible or untangible. Because in Buddhism, everything is uh, impermanent. Everything is impermanent. So if you have that already in mind, that feeling of non-attachment, then you're okay. You know that everything is in passing.
Mm-hmm.
And what's nice is that a Buddhist monk would be fine in prison,
Mm-hmm.
totally fine, because they're always they're meditating within. They're always living within the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I also read the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and that one really one of my favorite books. Actually, it struck me. Similar to Buddhism, but the awareness of just being present in the moment, and for everything to be okay in this moment, not being attached to the past, not being attached to the future, and being aware that everything is fine right now.
Mm-hmm.
you know and that was cool. So learned a lot about myself through meditation, studied self-help books like Tony Robbins and the such,
Mm-hmm.
and read lots of literature, got into English literature, philosophy, or other classics. um, then I got into physical training. you know Physical training was my outlet. It became my passion.
Mm-hmm.
I started getting my hands on anything I could on physical training,
Yes.
magazines, books, started consuming everything I could, kind of dissecting or filtering stuff that was kind of like, does this work or not? And trying programs, and writing them down, noting what was the result, doing various types of programs, you know, that were in magazines and books, and noting the outcomes, trying different diets, you know, counting my calories and stuff like that, and figuring out what really worked. When I got to Pavel stuff, it was just yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, well, like while you're doing this process of learning, right? What was your intention at that time? Like, were you just looking to be like, I don't know, like, were you just looking to get as strong as possible, or like, what was your intention?
For training?
Yeah.
Well, at the beginning, it was just to pass time. I may not have gotten, I was not really so interested in it right away, but it was more as of an activity, something I could do to pass the time that, you know, it could be fun, could be interesting. So I was open-minded to it, right? But I was a little bit turned off in jail when I hurt myself on my shoulders. I'm like, screw this, I'm not doing this again, right? But then I picked it back up again. And what had happened was I was left, we were a crew of 3-4 guys training. And slowly the guys started leaving. One guy went home, or one guy started working, and his schedule didn't coincide with ours. So we ended up being 2. It was myself and another partner that we were training together. So he's like, why don't you start programming the workouts? You know, why don't you, I'll leave it up to you. So I'm like, okay, fine. I love this stuff. You know, I was researching it, and okay, how about we do this routine? You know, and we started experimenting. What would work? What would you know, be the best type of training program? It wasn't anything you know, mind blowing, but we kind of figured stuff out on our own. Got hurt a bunch of times. You know, ended up getting weaker on certain exercise programs, and certain programs I got a lot stronger. So we figured stuff out just through experimenting, reading, and applying.
So, you know, you're obviously known on Instagram as Kettle Beast, okay? And kettlebells is it seems to be one of your favorite, you know, strength training apparatuses. So how is it that you settled on the kettlebell as your primary training modality?
Yes, so I got into Pavel Tsatsulin's books while in prison. It opened my eyes up to strength training, right? I didn't start with the kettlebell, but I started with barbell and calisthenics, actually. We didn't have access to kettlebells until later on, but I learned about kettlebells through Pavel. So what is this? You know, this looks really cool. And he was talking about it like this thing was just superior to everything else. You know, you can get so awesomely fit with just this tool. You know, talking about the special forces in the military, martial artists, the soldiers, anyone in the, you know, operation fields where they had to perform, athletes, you know. So I read about it there, and I was getting these magazines called Hardstyle magazines. They were quarterly. Every season they came out with one, and it was really about Pavel's books and articles about the RKC and what new programs they were coming out with. So I got to learn about kettlebells through that, and me and my buddy, we were getting a little obsessed with those books and kettlebell training, you know, and Pavel's books. We started ordering all of his books, even though we didn't have kettlebells there. We started just reading them and learning about the programs, and we got excited. We got so excited about kettlebells, we actually convinced the rec supervisor in the prison to buy kettlebells. So yeah, my friend was actually working for the rec department, so he had an in, so he knew the guy. So he said, look, we got to order these things, man. These are the next things. So they ordered a couple pairs, and no one was using it. You know, these guys, they got the kettlebells in, and the other inmates were like, what the hell is this? You know, we're not going to use this. We're not going to downgrade to the kettlebells. Yeah. But we were excited to get them. You know, we were ecstatic. So, you know, when they got them in, it was about 6 months before my release, and we started using them. You know, we started doing the swings, the get-ups and the snatches and stuff. We figured stuff out. We didn't have no videos. We just had the books and the images to refer to. So, you know, by the time I got out, I was like, you know, this is what I want to do. I got excited about it. This is really unique. And I wanted to become certified through Pavel. I said, I gotta meet this guy. I gotta meet these guys that are, you know, hardcore. You know, these guys are my role models. And the interesting part was I actually got to meet them when I got out. You know, I traveled and I got to meet Mark Chang, Pavel, John Engem. These guys became my mentors and my friends, you know, and they learned about my story when I got out. I was telling them about this stuff. So it was really like a dream come true, to be honest. And, you know, owning a gym wasn't really necessarily in the plans right away, but it was always like a somewhat of a dream of mine to own my own facility. And luckily, that's what was in the cards for me.
So, like you had Pavel's books. You read all about his techniques, but there are multiple styles of kettlebell training, right? And why is it that why do you think that it is that you settled on hardstyle and on Pavel's technique of kettlebell training?
Well, it was one of the first ones I learned. It was the first one I learned. For me there wasn't anything else.
Okay.
It's like when you drink the wine, you know, that's the only wine you want to drink. Or, you know, nothing else works, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you become a believer, you know. It's like you don't settle for less. For me, for me that's what it's about. Is I don't want to settle for less. And to me, you know, I'll step up on a pedestal and say there's no other way. Yes. For me, this is it. This is the end all way to do it. If you want to go into kettlebell sports, that's great. Yep. You know, that's your prerogative. If you want to perform, you want to compete, that's your prerogative. Yes. I'm not into kettlebell sports. That's not my style, right? I love what hardstyle gives me. I love the power. I love the endurance. I love the strength, and it's just for me. And it's also a personality thing, right? I wouldn't say that there's so many kettlebell styles. I would say that there's hardstyle, of course, and Pavel introduced it to North America first. Yes. GS, of course, you know, is old since World War II. It became an official sport in Russia, and you know, they use this for years in Russia. I was actually talking to a guy, a student of mine, and he's like, my grandfather used this, and my dad was in the army, and it's all Soviet Russia, and everyone had this in their homes. It was a blue collar sport, you know. So it's like more the elite was more into weightlifting, into Olympic weightlifting. So, and then everyone else was like kettlebells, was kind of like a lower class thing, right? So that was what was interesting to me. And the hardstyle comes from, well, it does, martial arts. It has a martial arts background. Where they meet force with force, and you go all out, and the goal is to break bricks, is to knock out someone. You know, it doesn't matter how many punches you can throw if you can't knock out your grandmother, right? So if you're just tapping, what's the point, right? I want that power. So that's what hardstyle does. That's what hardstyle is about. That's why I like it.
So okay, so you've drunk the tea now. You're dedicated to the hard style.
Yep. The Kool-Aid.
That's right. You drank the Kool-Aid. So how did you come about now? From you're out of prison now. You are getting certified. But how does that translate into? Oh, I'm now the owner of a gym. How do those two things meet?
Yeah, great. You know, it was tired of working for the man. I just couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't work in a regular commercial gym anymore. I didn't see it fit in with what I wanted to do, and into my method. uh, it didn't really, kettlebells weren't really mainstream 10 years ago. And they're only coming into mainstream now, actually. People, especially with the lockdown, people are like, oh, what can I do? And then you see everyone's using kettlebells now, Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 10 years ago, people didn't really know that kettlebells that well unless you were hardcore and you were following Pavel and doing unconventional stuff. So I had to start my own thing. And it started in a basement, in a you could say like a little martial arts dojo, and I was sharing the space with a Krav Maga guy,
Mm-hmm.
and it fit perfectly well with what we wanted to teach, the hardcore aspect. But then I realized that hardcore isn't so friendly to the everyday mom. And that was my target market, actually, was to get women over 40 into my my studio, and I wanted to teach them hardstyle kettlebells. So my logo with the fist and the kettlebell and the explosion in the back then kind of intimidated them a little bit. So
They
I
could
had to
be the
change it
most
up.
badass mom ever.
Yeah, we got some. We got some too, but we kind of wanted to we wanted something that would appeal to the everyday person. Yet they would still find a toughness in it. So we rebranded into the Kettlebell Club, which is a little more friendly and more inviting, less less intimidating for them. So
Okay. Well, I don't know if the first rule of Kettlebell Club is that you don't talk about Kettlebell Club like Fight Club. So,
it's a little bit
how,
like that.
there you
But
go.
anyone could get in. You just have to have the spirit. You have to have
Yes.
the discipline or the desire to to do what we ask you to do.
Mm-hmm.
The way we train is not like your typical boot camp. It's not like your typical class
Mm-hmm.
where they change workouts every time.
Mm-hmm.
Your typical boot camp or workout that they do in group training will be a different workout every time. And they'll actually brag about that. They'll say, we change the workout up every time to keep you motivated. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, nah, that's not the way. You guys have to do the same one every time, or
Yeah.
you have to keep it, keep it the same, or keep the same variables for a while in order to see progress.
And to
And this is
master it.
what this is what we learn, is what we teach. So
Mm-hmm.
in order to get better at something, you have to keep it up, but you have to change it once in a while, ever so slightly. Not
Mm-hmm.
throw the baby out with the bathwater and completely, confuse you.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is, I see, people using the same weights over and over again. They never get stronger. They never get anywhere. They
Mm-hmm.
never see progress. So they're always thinking of short term. Okay, I did my workout. Great. I ended up in a pile of sweat. Great, you did your workout, but are you getting better? Are you increasing your weights? Are you seeing better performance overall? Are
Mm-hmm.
you able to track an improvement in what you do? And more often than not, they shrug and they don't think about that. It's something that they're not aware of. But we help people learn those things, and we keep people accountable. We help people keep track of those things, and our
Mm-hmm.
program is very systematic at the Kettlebell Club, which we're proud of.
Mm-hmm. No, and I think that is a very good thing. I as you mentioned, a lot of people, it's all about, oh, how much sweat did I make on the floor, and they judge themselves by that, and
How many
they
calories did
don't
I burn?
judge how exactly, and they're not judging themselves on the quality of their movement, and on did I have I mastered this movement? Have I mastered this technique? And people
Absolutely.
are much too happy, or much too complacent, much too comfortable with doing things poorly. And as long as they sweat and they do things poorly, they move shittily, they have poor technique, and they're comfortable with that. And that's not a good thing. And so I love the focus on attention. And it's like I'm not certified in kettlebells. I'm not certified in strong first or any of that. But our one of our trainers is. and I kind of laugh inside because you know, I call him the kettlebell Nazi, but it's good because it's helping me to be better at what I do, right? And it's like even times it's kind of like there's never a perfect, you know, you're an artist, there's never a perfect picture. So even when I look and I go, oh yeah, shit, I started out nice good part, nice strong swing, boom, good power, and he's like, oh no, but you did this here, and look at all of that over there, and I'm like,
He wants to nitpick.
there's always something to work on, there's always something to improve. So I think that the lesson in that is applicable to our larger life, right?
Correct.
Nothing's ever perfect, right? So you can always
Nothing's that,
to improve.
you know, you may have a perfect swing by mistake.
That's right. That's right. So there's always something to improve. So tell me now, when you went to open, so you're working in a gym, you're working for somebody else, and now you said, screw it, I'm not working for the man, I'm going to be the man. What were some of the hurdles that you encountered in opening up your own place?
Oh my God, tons. Just the admin, the actual, you know, just getting the permits, just getting the lease, just having to deal with accounting and numbers and everything like that. Is owning a business is totally different than, as you know, it's not, you're not a trainer anymore. You know, that's a different hat. You have to change hats, and you have to wear the hat of a business owner, entrepreneur, where, you know, you want to make this work. So you have to have a plan, you know, so you have to break down all the aspects of owning a business, which is operations, you know, marketing, your services, you know, sales, you know, running your team. All these aspects is almost a full-time job on its own. So when you're a one-man show, it's like you kind of like running left and right, and you don't get anything done, and everything is much slower. So this was the problem at first, and I realized I couldn't run a business on my own. Couldn't do it alone. It's not possible to make it successful. Otherwise, you're running yourself into the ground, and sooner or later you're gonna burn out. And I was on the verge of burning out, and I needed a coach. I needed someone to guide me. So I hired a business coach, you know, and I was glad to make that investment, you know, as the investment was worth it in the end, and I learned so much. And now I have another business coach, even better. So, you know, I'm continuously learning, improving. I think business, like life, is something ongoing. You know, you're always improving. For me anyway, is something that I'm always striving to be better at. What could be better, and what aspects could I be improving? Marketing better, you know, can I improve my sales? Can I improve my marketing? Can I improve my operations? All that stuff. And then at the end of the day, you have to give away things that you don't need to be doing anymore. You have to actually hire someone else that could be better at that job than you are, that you don't want to do.
That's
you know,
right.
and there are a lot of things that in a business, there are your strengths and there are your weaknesses. But if you can have a team that others are strong in, that those are your weaknesses, and you can all work your strengths together, then you have a strong business. You know, you can roll forward. You know, and right now I'm happy because I'm not really teaching the classes anymore. I have a team of coaches. I have someone that is managing for me. You know, so I could kind of take a little bit of a step back and look at the big picture and see where can I do better, you know. And I'll be honest, Chris, like this whole pandemic, it was a blessing in disguise, because it unveiled my weaknesses in my business, weaker team members, weaker structures, weaker other aspects that I had to get rid of or eliminate, or, you know, kick or boot out or whatever. And then we're just improving the systems, making things better as we go. Now we have an online virtual program. It's a community. It's a community. It's organic. You know, it runs its own. It runs by itself with our coaches. You know, all I got to do is probably move the business forward and do my part. You know, promote and stuff. So we're blessed.
There you go. So overall, you know, if you've looked at this whole experience of being a gym owner, starting Kettlebell Club, um, how would you characterize that experience? In other words, has this been a good experience for you? Has it been rewarding? Would you do it again?
For sure. It's super rewarding. At the same time, it's super costly. You know,
Don't I
it's like
know
you
it?
gotta, you know, it costs so much to run a gym, and if you're not getting people in, if the money's not there, then you gotta go out of pocket, you know, and then you gotta look at the numbers. We have to be realistic.
Mhm,
So the reward is there, and I know it can work. It's just a matter of pushing myself and
mhm,
getting out of my comfort zone and doing the things in the business that uh, would level it up, you know. And to me, what it is now is really marketing and getting
mhm,
out there and getting the word
mhm,
out. There's no fit pros right now advertising, or very little, and no one does except for you. You know, you're doing live videos and stuff like that on a regular. But these are the things that are necessary to grow a business that you guys are doing very consistently. YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook. These are platforms that everyone is on right now. You know, people are at home. You know, people are logging in and consuming content. So they're looking for value. They're looking for good information, good stuff, education. And these are the things that are necessary in order to stand out from the rest, because no fit pro is going to get out there and, you know, put himself out on the line and do a live video every single day. And it takes guts to do that. And these are the things that are necessary to grow a business, I believe.
mhm, for sure.
So
And
so back to the question, yeah, it has been really rewarding, and you know, it's a journey that I continue, and yes, I would do it again. You know, um, you know, right now, me and my wife are gonna be having a baby in a month, and things are stressful. You know, things are tight.
mhm,
But you know, I'm doing what I love. You know, I'm not
mhm,
working for someone else. I make
for
my own
sure.
pay. I make my own
Yes,
hours.
yes.
You know, even though may have to wake up early, or whether I decide to sleep in or not, that's my choice.
Mhm. You
You
know,
know.
sometimes people ask me this question, and you know, when I went through my training for orthopedics, my training was not fun. I had a lot of issues. I had some mental health, depression issues, and you know, the relationship that I had with my family was kind of strained during that time. And people often ask me, they say, you know, knowing what you know now, would you go through it again to be where you are today? And sometimes this answer frustrates my family, frustrates my wife a little bit because I say to people, even if I know I had to walk through that fire again, wearing gasoline underpants, I'm doing it because I, I'm here now speaking to you. I'm here doing this thing right now because of everything that I went through. Had my
Absolutely.
path, had I had another path, I might not be here. I'd be somewhere else, right? Doing something else. So, and I enjoy what I'm doing now, right? Like I have the freedom to be able to like I can interview, speak to people like you, man, and I can do this and talk about shit that I like to talk about, man.
Yep.
And this my life, my path is what led me to this moment, right? Well, we talk about living in the moment. I am living in the moment. This my path brought me to this. So yeah, would I do it again? So it's as you said, there's lots of struggles, man. It's hard. It's not always easy, but
You know, that's the way life is, and if you expect it to be a walk in the park, you're not in it for the right. You know, you don't have the right mindset. Nothing
mhm,
worthwhile is easy. You know, and perfection takes time. What I like to say.
mhm,
Uh, Everything in life is a work in progress. You know, if you think you know it all, then you're done.
mhm, for sure.
You know.
So
But the struggles are worth it. The struggles are worth it, and you could kind of like you'd say, be stronger. You
mhm.
build character.
Well, you know, like an ancient Chinese religion, right? There's yin and there's yang, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that you need to have misery, some sorrow,
Mm-hmm.
some tribulation. You need to have this. Why? Because what frame of reference do you have to know joy, delight, bliss?
Correct.
Like, how would you know that if you didn't have the other side of it, the coin? How would you
Yep.
know those things? Like, to you, that would just be regular, everyday stuff, right? So I think it's uncomfortable when we go through it. It's unfortunate sometimes, but you need to have these things so that you can understand what are the good things, right? And to really
Absolutely.
have an appreciation for the good things, right?
Absolutely. You rejoice. You know, when
Yes.
I was in prison, I didn't have much. I had my own room. Actually, I got into what's called the honor dorm
You
because I
know what?
was
I got
had
through
good
it.
conduct.
I
So
learned
they
some
gave me a
things,
room
and
with
I
my
got
own
some
key
new skills moving forward.
that I could go in whenever I wanted, to a certain extent, of course. But uh, there you only have a couple pairs of jeans, a couple t-shirts, one pair of sneakers. You have one bowl, one spoon. Actually, a spork, not a spoon. But you just have one of everything or a couple
Yeah.
of everything. You know,
Yeah.
that's all we needed. And I appreciated, taking warm showers on my own. I appreciated having a coffee. I appreciated watching a movie with my pal, with my friend, going in his room, and he was inviting me over. We'd make our own pizzas out of those ramen noodle soups. We'd make pizzas out of that. We'd use that as dough. We'd make our own ice cream out of Snickers bars and powdered milk and stuff. So we'd have our own. Friday night we'd watch a movie, and we'd be happy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. There you go.
it's the little things.
For sure. And I like how I've seen in your profile or a post how you talk about you're a minimalist, right? So let me ask you something about
My
your
wife doesn't think so.
That's all right.
She thinks
No.
I collect too many knives and I hoard stuff. But
My
you
wife
know,
says I do the same thing, so
uh,
there you go. But listen, so you're like on your social media, your posts have a number of different themes, okay? That I have noticed. So obviously you have your kettlebell training. You have themes about self mastery. You did the cold therapy, Wim Hof, right?
mhm.
And you also have tactical and martial type of themes, okay? So explain to me, Louka, why are these topics important to you, right? Because
It's
it's
a good
clear
question.
it's a reflection of who you are, right?
It is a reflection of who I am, and it depends on the topic. But as far as like when I'm making posts about, let's say, knives,
Mm-hmm.
it's something that I'm into, that I'm passionate about, and I collect knives. Uh, Look, I grew up watching Rambo. I grew up watching Arnold Schwarzenegger and Terminator and Commando and stuff. And this is really me. I grew up on
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. And what can I say? Sometimes I can rely more on my knife than another human being. So I trust in the steel.
Mm-hmm.
I trust in kettlebells
Mm-hmm.
because they deliver. It's something that will never turn me down or never, it doesn't have any feelings. So I can rely on it.
Mm-hmm.
I can count on it. It's
Mm-hmm.
something that will be there if necessary. And I always have that in mind of what if, and what if things go, what if something goes sour, what if things can get to an extreme,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to be prepared at this point in time. So I'd rather be over prepared in certain situations, and make myself come out on top.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the things that sometimes that go through my mind, is situational awareness and being prepared. I don't think you could always you can be overly prepared, and it's a good thing,
Mm-hmm.
and always be aware of what's going on, and if things can go wrong or if they go right, then perfect, but it's always about um, hope for the best, but expect the worst,
Yes.
right? That's
You
what
know,
we it's that for me, it's the kind of like that prison mentality, because things happen like that. Things happen where they came to a point where it would be like all or nothing, right?
Yes.
So so that's a little bit my mindset on that.
Well, let me tell you something, Louka. This is the same mindset that we have in surgery, right?
Yep.
Like when I am there, I have my plan, and I tell my wife and kids this. I tell people this all the time, right? Because they go, "Oh, geez, why are you doing all this stuff? Why?" Like even at home, and then I say, "Look, man, this is my job. My job is to
Mm-hmm.
have a plan, and I prepare for the best." Right?
Yep.
But I anticipate or expect the worst, right?
Yes.
Why? Because when I'm standing there in the operating room, there is an artery that's cut. Some people only have 4 liters of blood, right? And when the blood is pouring out,
Serious.
it's serious, right? Like I don't have the time to oh well, geez, what am I gonna do here? Like there is no time. It's it's
No time.
it's it's act and like act definitively, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I have to do, you know. So for sure, yeah, that's the same way we think, man, and I understand that very much, and I can respect that very much, you know.
Sometimes, even in business, you may have to go to an extreme,
Hmm.
even in relationships, in situations. So I think it's a useful mindset.
Yes. So tell me, Luca, what is your 5-year plan for the gym?
conquer conquer the world. Okay,
Yes, I like that.
I've got something exciting actually, that I haven't launched yet, but it's something that we're using now that I plan to bring out to the public, and something that my vision for it is really to grow a community. And I'd love to have different locations of the Kettlebell Club. That's fine, that's a dream of mine, but I really want this location to work. Of course, during the pandemic, during this time of lockdown, things are a little trickier, right? As you know, for obvious reasons. But
For
we
you
kind of had
guys,
to put
man.
that, 2020 was like a pause. We kind of had to put plans on hold. The funny thing is, I had my best month in March, right before lockdown. We had our best month ever, and been trying ever since to repeat that. But really, is I want to make our club into a community, and we want to educate and be the leaders in our area locally, right? Leaders in education, in inspiration, in empowering people. And it takes someone to have a voice, and why not me? I need to go out and put it out there. But what I was saying was, we have this level system for our kettlebell training. It's pretty unique that takes a student through 5 rankings, 5 levels, kind of like martial arts. So they start as a beginner, and they can end up in a couple years as a professional trainee, that maybe if they want to get certified later or become an instructor. So I designed a system that is it's cool because it kind of gamifies the fitness, and the kettlebell. In the kettlebell world, you have something to work for or something to strive for, that is systematic. That you shouldn't be doing this before you get here, and there's a standards and benchmarks before you get to at something more advanced. So it's something really cool that I've designed, and I'd like to bring it out publicly in the near future.
I like it. I like it. And do you well put your personal stamp on it. What and do you have a
Mm-hmm.
name? What's the name going to be?
It's nothing special. It's the Hardstyle Kettlebell Pro Level.
Yes.
So Hardstyle Kettlebell Pro Levels. So
Okay.
something something branded that we got that is very much us, and it's something nice for people that it brings them from one part to the next, kind of like when you're doing martial arts.
Yes. No, I think that's very. Um, it's something that's quantifiable. and it's something that's reproducible, I think that's a good thing, you know? So tell me, last question, second last question. So what is your personal fitness plan looking into the future? Forget the Kettlebell Club, okay? Louka, we're talking about Louka Kurcer. What is your fitness plan moving forward? I don't know how old you are,
Cool.
you know, but obviously we don't get
I have to
younger.
check. I have to check my. Have to check my Medicare card to see. I don't. I forgot. I have
There
to
you
check my
go.
driver's license. I'm not sure, but
There you go.
I'm actually trying to achieve what's called a simple and sinister standard,
Yep.
which is the Sinister standard out of Pavel's book, and it's to
Mm-hmm.
one arm swing a 48 kilo kettlebell, and to be able to do Turkish get-ups with a 48 kilo kettlebell. So that's my this year's plan, you could say. It's super basic, nothing complicated, but it's straightforward. You know,
It's hard.
it's hard. There's a straight line, and it takes dedication because you're doing the same exercises pretty much almost on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, it takes like I said, patience, and you know, you just really have to want it. You know, not get sidetracked with other shiny objects, other programs. I mean, there's other great programs out there, believe me, that I want to do, but I just want this really badly, you know, and I'm close. So I figure by the end of the year, I'll be very close to that.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Last question, young man, and I can call you that. I'm a little bit older than you are. I got a little more gray in mine than you do.
A little more.
A little more. A little more. Where can people find you online, Louka?
They could find me on IG, Kettle Beast. They could find my company, Kettlebell Club, our online training studio. And we have another brand called Hardstyle Kettlebell Pro, which is on YouTube. And I've been lucky, actually. My channel's been growing quite consistently over the past year. Been posting on there, and like yourself, you know, I strive to be known. So it's something that you have to do consistently.
Sure.
So Facebook, Louka Kurcer. If you guys want to send me a friend request, you guys are more than welcome to.
There you go. So thank you very much, Louka, for agreeing to do this. As I said, I feel honored to have this discussion with you and for you to share this story with me. It's a very personal story. And, you know, as I said at the start, I think there's a lot that people can learn from this and from your experience. So yeah, I'm grateful for you sharing that with us, right? And
Thank you, Chris.
I'm always happy to promote what you're doing, my man.
It was an honor being on your show.
Oh, thank you, thank you. So hang tight, Louka. For everybody that who came and participated, thank you very much for joining us. Greatly appreciate it. I'm actually going to be doing 2 this week, so I have another one tomorrow evening. So come and check me out as I speak to Josh Lujan. Any of the gamers here will know that name. But thank you very much for participating. As always, that's been a word from Dr. Chris, and I'll see you guys on the next one.